Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us this Tuesday evening for a special show. This is Irregular Republic, episode 9, and we are going to be talking about color revolutions and kind of the ecosystem that has been exposed since Charlie Kirk's assassination and some of the propaganda pushes that we've seen since then. We got a special guest tonight. We got SK. I'm going to bring her up right now. SK, how are you doing? Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, I'm nervous, you guys.
Oh,
I don't venture out of my bubble very often. I used to be nervous before every podcast we did, and then I kind of got over that, and now I'm super nervous when I go anywhere else.
Oh, don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. We got a bunch of cool followers, got a bunch of cool people on here, so it'll be a good time, and we're gonna talk about some interesting stuff and some things that I think are important for everybody to know. And you've been part of a pretty amazing research team. So how about you just tell everybody a little bit about yourself and kind of like what the work you've been doing and who you've been working with, and then we'll kind of jump into some stuff after that.
Yeah, so I got started just stumbling upon political debates on TikTok, and I started joining those debates, and have always been involved in politics, so I knew a lot right off the bat. And I'm a primary source receipt kind of girl and do a lot of research, so that served me well. And then I joined X and started posting on there every now and then. And Patriot Dad started encouraging me to make videos. I did that for a little bit. And then when Charlie Kirk was killed, I just knew that his death wasn't going to be in vain. It was going to expose a lot of the corruption that had been taking place in our country, and especially on the left. And I reached out to Data Republican when I found some very disturbing information right after Charlie Kirk was killed. I'm the one that found this ties to the State Department through Global Ties US to Utah Global Diplomacy to Urmia Finian, the leader of Armed Queers SLC. And I was terrified. So I reached out to somebody else and I was like, hey, I found this and I think people need to know, but I don't want to tell them. So she was like, oh my gosh. And she posted all of that information and it's just gone from there. So since September, I've been researching a lot with Data Republican, and she introduced me to a lady named Lisa, and her X account is I am Lisa Logan. And she has a Substack with tons and tons of information.
And so, all right, so all the research and all the things you found, sum it up for us real quick, and then we're just going to jump into it. But
I'm not great at being concise.
You don't have to be concise, but just, there's color revolutions, but what, NGOs, it's all kind of interconnected, and it's just more than you ever thought, or what are you thinking about?
It's a lot more organized than I originally thought. I had kind of been researching like from the top down. And when Data Republican introduced me to Lisa, she kind of had the missing pieces and it all kind of fit together. So we were able to paint the big picture. And Lisa has researched all the way from the beginning. She knows all the way from the federal plan. She knows the Amera stuff. She knows the whole plan for the economy. She knows all of it. But there are thousands of NGOs that have organized and are working together. You wouldn't think that they would work together because their end goal isn't all necessarily the same. But in order to get to their end goal, they have to have Trump out of the way. So the sole purpose is stopping Donald Trump.
Yep. And I mean, that's a really valid point. And a lot of these NGOs were kind of enabled by Biden, by the administration of Biden, and then by even before maybe Obama, before Trump's first term too. Is that what you're thinking as well?
Yes. Well, actually, a lot of this stuff was put into motion like in the early 80s. And then you have the UN. The UN is very involved. That's where the federal plan comes in, and like Agenda 21, people used to call it conspiracy theory. It's not. Also, Agenda 2030, which everyone knows isn't a conspiracy theory because it's in all the legislation from the Biden administration. Right. They openly talk about it, even at the UN meetings. They talk about Agenda 2030. But this is all it all ties together. They have to, in order to have a more Marxist, communist, socialist society like the Democrats want, they have to have Donald Trump and the Republicans out of the way. They have a plan to completely change the political structure of this country. and they've infiltrated. They have all these different arms. It's like a big monster with all these arms. And they have an interfaith arm. So it includes your religion, it includes the schools through things like social emotional learning. There is just so much to this that it's impossible to explain.
Dang. So we're talking about, I mean, you said thousands of NGOs. They all have their kind of different purpose, but they've organized, and and most of these are taking tax dollars, right? Most of them are taking significant amounts of tax dollars, or
I
what?
think indirectly, some of them get tax dollars directly, but a lot of them get them indirectly through big foundations and things like that. I mean, you have Fetzer, MacArthur, Soros. I mean, any big foundation that you can think of, they're involved. As a matter of fact, the strategy that they have been using to organize around is Catherine Kleinfeld's. I can't remember the exact title of the paper. I have it, but they reference strategy number 5 very frequently, and Catherine Kleinfeld is like National Endowment for Democracy and the Carnegie Endowment and Soros type stuff. So these are the people that you're dealing with. And then some of the major leaders are communists. I mean, actual communists.
Yeah, naturally.
Yeah.
Well, it's not disheartening or anything. It's not. Most people are wholly unaware that there's a monster out there that's made up of 1,000 NGOs that are just working every day to try to subvert the right side of the U.S. government. That's kind of something that, I don't know. I think it's important to talk about, right? So I'm glad that you're doing the work that you're doing, and that you're working with Data Republican and Lisa. What was it, Lisa?
Lisa, her X account
Yeah.
is I am Lisa Logan. And she has a Substack as well. You can just look up Lisa Logan on Substack and YouTube. It's Parents of Patriots on YouTube. Parents of
Patriots. All right, cool. Well, we'll add some links to all that so everybody can go look at her stuff too, because definitely want to highlight all this amazing work that you guys are doing, because it's just so important. People don't. I have an eye for propaganda. I mean, you obviously can see that kind of stuff too, and it's one of those things that I've built this account. Hey, like, we need to highlight that there's a lot more going on than most people are aware of, and there's a lot of it that is just straight up false, or is actually being used to subvert the actual legal process or the natural process of what's supposed to be happening. And it makes sense, because I mean, if you look back, Donald Trump wasn't supposed to come into the political process and shake the things up like he did in 2015, and then win in 2016. I mean, that was a shock to the establishment, I think. And and I think that kind of threw a big wrench in the whole what's the saying for it? I'm trying to say?
In the whole
wrench in the whole.
In the whole like structure, in the whole order of things. They have their order. They give their orders, and most presidents just say okay, and let them do what they want to do. Trump doesn't do that. Trump's like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that, and they do not like that at all.
Yeah. And another people don't understand too is that, like, and why the process is so slow and fixing a lot of this is so slow as well, is not only the NGO angle, but also the GS angle. So people like the GS level employees in the FBI and all the federal government, not even, and in the DOD and in the whole federal government as a whole. It's kind of insane if you think about it. The GS-13s to the 15s are the ones that really run the government. They run the day-to-day of the government, and those aren't elected or appointed officials either. They're not cabinet appointees. They're not the ones that Donald Trump that are talking to the president. They're not the ones that are talking even to the cabinet ones, and they're the ones making the actual day-to-day decisions. They're the special agent in charge. They're the ones in charge of different sections. They're the ones doing the real work, and those are the positions that were really entrenched during this whole last 20 to 30 years of all of this kind of building of all of these different NGOs working with everything, with USAID and then I mean, we've scratched the surface, like with the SPLC and what's going on, and what's going on with the ADL. Who knows? We're probably, hopefully they're investigating them as well. But yeah, I mean, I think having people come, just independent researchers coming out and just looking into all this stuff and finding that's kind of the answer that we're going to have for now, until the government's going to have to figure out a way to make it, whether they incentivize it or whether they just give the people a little bit more teeth in how to fight back. And I've talked about the letters of marque numerous times in different ways, and you don't have to think of letters of marque just to like stop piracy, right? But there's a lot of different ways that they could utilize the common citizen to fight back against some of these big monsters that have been created over all of these years, being backed by all this money and all of these different ideologies that are being pushed into our schools, into, like you said, into the faith-based systems, and then just
the court system.
The court systems, and backed by NGO. It's insane. It's insane. So,
but the thing here is, though, I don't think it's going to be necessarily quite as hard as everyone thinks, because these people publish their playbooks. Like, they sit around and talk about what they're doing. They publish their playbooks. They don't really hide any of this. So I always give the analogy that it's like, for as a color revolution goes, we're like at the 2-yard line. They have the ball, but we have the playbook. Like, we know all of the plays that they're planning because they've published their playbook.
right.
So all we have to do is make a playbook to counter, everything that they're doing. And I mean, that's really the only way, I think.
Right. Do you think that's just because they have been so uncontested for so long that they're just like, we can just do whatever we want and post whatever we want, and we don't have to actually hide this? Or do you think that it's just like the elitism kind of involved in what they're doing?
I think that, because I think a lot of the people that are involved in these organizations, even in kind of leadership positions, a lot of them, I think, truly believe in what they're doing. I think a lot of them don't even know what the CEOs and like the executive level leadership is doing with their organizations. I don't think that a lot of people know what they're involved in. But the problem is going to be the actual government itself, because all these tentacles are so woven into everything, all the legislation, all of the policy. I mean, it's interwoven. When you have things like the Global Engagement Center, when you're talking about censoring Americans and what you can and can't say and things like that, you had grants going out to all different like universities and companies, NGOs, that we're all working together for the same thing. They go into a college campus, they set up this, research for, we're going to counter digital hate, bullying, and harassment. If you've ever had a violation for bullying and harassment, that's one of those things. So again, it's a subjective view of what you're experiencing as bullying and harassment. And they get these kids all together and they just go around on social media and they're reporting people and doing these things to get people taken down. That when they were applying for grants, they talk about those things. They talk about how they're countering hate. That's how they were able to censor people in the way that they were. It came out of a summit during the Biden administration. They had a summit called the United We Stand Summit. And that's where a lot of the censorship came from. That's where the Dignity Index comes from, the grading of political speech. Those types of things came from there. And New Pluralists pledged $1 billion during that summit to basically, stop hate. And the SPLC was heavily involved. They were at the summit. They wrote a letter to Susan Rice and were requesting monthly meetings with her. And they were giving Susan Rice, the head of domestic policy for this country, they were handing her policy in order to be able to censor American speech that they didn't agree with, which is another reason why Charlottesville had to be like it was.
Of course. Well, Charlottesville kind of is what brought Biden into the race in the first place, too. I mean, you go back and look at it.
Yeah, isn't that what he said? He said that he ran for office.
Literally, he was literally like, I'm joining the race because I can't stand back and watch this happen type of mentality. So I mean, it's kind of like what brought him in, and we now know that it was all literally orchestrated, which is pretty insane.
Their
It's like,
level of organization is wild. When you sit in these meetings and you listen to these different people that have started all these different NGOs and they talk about their plans and how they're working together. And when they started, they called it a transpartisan movement and not bipartisan, transpartisan.
transpartisan.
And yes, and they were trying to make it out like they were open to everyone and, they just want unity and all of these things. But the closer it got to Trump possibly winning the election again in 2024, they completely switched. We have recordings that we've posted where they just flat out say, "Look, it sounds great to say we're bipartisan and everything, and we will accept everyone from both sides of the aisle that want to work with us, but the goal is stopping Donald Trump. We are countering authoritarianism, and we are stopping Donald Trump." That's all they talk about is Donald Trump.
Which is insane because like Donald Trump is not an authoritarian
Not at all.
president. Like it's one of those, like if he actually was authoritarian, they would all be in jail. Like everyone would be in jail. That's the funny part of it is like if he was an authoritarian president, then it just makes no sense to me. Like then thousands of people would have sat in prison and not received due process, kind of like the January 6th people did for trespassing, silly things like that. That would be a lot more authoritarian from a leader than
You mean
anything that
like
Donald Trump has done.
You mean like Comey? He literally
Yeah.
gave an interview saying we're going to go after
Yeah.
everyone at J6, even misdemeanors. We are going to
Yep.
go after you. That sounds very authoritarian. It's almost like that whole gaslighting thing. Like they accuse you of doing exactly what they're doing.
Yep. It's pretty insane. It's pretty insane. Well, everybody, real quick, if you could like and share the space for me, please. If you're on X, repost and all the good stuff, all the likes and all that stuff. It's important so that we can get more people and get more people to watch and get the following bigger. I'm not great at all this stuff, but apparently you got to say that or people forget. So, and again, thank you guys so much.
Terrible.
Yeah, I know. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we're gonna jump into some. I think we want to talk. What do you want to talk? You want to talk about the? Let me pull up.
I'll
this.
tell you like how like the organization that's organizing it is called Intermovement Impact Project. And that's where you get, I know a lot of people know the name Maria Stefan and Danielle Reif or Rife. I'm not sure how you say it. This is where a lot of the fired USAID employees and U.S. Institute of Peace employees, they had either already had or ended up starting NGOs. They were brought into this whole movement and organization. I don't even think it's an actual organization. It's just they're organizing. Like, they get all these leaders from these different NGOs and they sit around and basically plot how they're going to do these things. They talk about their playbook. They use this playbook called the 4B framework. And there's actually 6 Bs that they talk about. There's 2 unnamed Bs. They talk about them a lot, but they don't put them on any of their graphics or anything like that. So the 4 Bs are building, blocking, bridging, and belonging. And the 2 unnamed Bs are beliefs and breaking, because you can't rebuild a system without having broken the current system.
Right. I mean, that's kind of, and that fits into a color revolution, right?
Yep.
So part of a color revolution is you have to break one of the main pillars of society. And once you have broken one of those pillars of society, then you can usher in the revolution or the change that needs to happen. And generally that pillar is either going to be military or, whatever it ends up being. But that's what we saw with what I call a lot of people with the Seditious Six, the video of those Democratic representatives and senators that were telling all the service members they should disobey illegal orders. Like, oh, what illegal orders should they disobey? Like, which illegal orders are you talking about? Oh, just the ambiguous illegal orders that might happen from the president, like the president's giving them direct orders anyways. It's all silly. but it was their attempt at undermining the military or the security forces pillar of the United States. And that, so that's one, push at part of a color revolution that we've seen. And again, it all works in to the same ecosystem that you're talking about. And the funny part is that what 5 of those 6 have very strong and lengthy ties to the CIA. That's kind of weird, right?
Yeah. All these people, there's a whole pipeline. Because if you look at people like Ermia Fanian, the leader of Armed Queers in Salt Lake City, and, things like the No Kings protests and, the armed, security peacekeepers, I think they call them, that are at these events. If you look at the awards that are given to these kids, if you look at these universities and the kids that are chosen for these leadership positions, and you look at their career paths, they all follow the same path. It's like a copy paste. You can look at all of their resumes and they're exactly the same. It might be a different school or a different leadership award or whatever, but it's all exactly the same. It's copy paste. I can just look at somebody's resume and be like, yep. Like at this point in time, like the CIA isn't even like hiding it.
Yeah. And what's crazy to me is like, people have asked, a lot of people are like, well, why is the CIA, why would the CIA want to undermine like the United States? Or why would they want to, go against the president? Or why would they want to do why would anyone in the CIA want to assist in any of this or help any foreign countries or blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, power, right? I mean, that's what it always comes back to, because an intelligence community, the intelligence community in an actual authoritarian government is going to be far more powerful than one in a non-authoritarian government, right? So under Donald Trump, the CIA is actually less powerful and can get away with less things than they can, say, under Joe Biden with dementia, right? So go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, this is like when you talk about, the foreign countries or why would they want to do this or why would they want to do that? You have all of these different countries and organizations and cartels and terrorist proxies all working together. Like I said at the beginning, their end goal might not all necessarily be the same, but in order for any of them to even get close to their end goal, you have to take out Trump. And I shouldn't say take out, but you know what I mean. You have to remove Trump from the equation by either impeaching him somehow. He has to be moved out of the way because Donald Trump is the only thing currently standing in between their plans and our government and the complete takeover. And you have all the, you have Iran, you have China, you have Venezuela, Cuba, Iran's proxies, the cartels. But when it comes to Russia, you have these people that have been working since the early 80s together to implement socialism, communism in the United States. And they say that they want to take the process rights of Americans with the substance rights of Russia, and they want to put them together and they want to just grow this giant superpower. And when they're writing these papers, they had like this newsletter that they used to put out in the 80s. They talk about how the United States and Russia have always been wed. They use the word wed. And they really and truly think it's like an interwoven relationship. So you have all these different factions and you have the UN. The UN is heavily involved in pulling all of these strings. And then like under the Biden administration, you have them choosing someone like Samantha Power to run USAID, who literally helped to develop the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And all of these organizations are heavily intertwined with the UN, and they're basically implementing the UN's agenda on US soil. I mean, in order for states and counties and cities to have access to any of the money from the infrastructure plan, all the cities and counties had to redo their plans, and that language mirrors the UN. There are only a handful of firms that write those plans for cities and counties, and they're all written the same. They implement Agenda 2030 through all of it. That's how they're taking people's land and water. This whole plan through like this group that meets with Intermovement Impact Project, the economy that they want to implement is what they call an abundance agenda. They literally want to take like the resources and then distribute the resources equitably. And when they say resources, they aren't just talking about your water. They aren't just talking about like actual resources. They're also talking about healthcare and education and things like that. And they want to distribute it equitably, not equally, equitably.
Equitably.
It's disgusting. It's so gross. And that's why if you listen closely, after you've listened to these people talk, you catch on to the words. And I get like a visceral reaction to certain words because they do not use them the way that we think they should be used. Their definition is not the same as ours.
Yeah.
And they do that intentionally. And then people just automatically buy into what they're saying. And if you listen closely to the Democrats when they talk about things like water, and they will use the word abundant, and they'll talk about water being abundant when they're talking about AI data centers and chip manufacturers and things like that. Water's abundant. Water isn't a problem. There's plenty of water. But then when it comes to the people, they tell you that there's not enough water and you have to put smart meters out there, and they can tell you when you can and can't use your water and your electricity. Yep. They tell you, well, during these peak times, you have to turn your air conditioner up to whatever. And they put these smart meters on your house because they're telling you that there's not enough. So again, these same people that hate the corporations are willing to take all of your resources for the corporations.
It's an oxymoron, really. It's one of those. And it's just they want to usher in this weird. It also doesn't make sense because like all the people that are like for this weird, bringing in this weird quasi communist, socialist, capitalist like mix that they're kind of trying to bring in. It's similar to what China has, because China has like a quasi communist capitalist society at this point, but it's not like free capitalism. It's not like free market capitalism, or it's not you can't just go out and do whatever you would want to do each day, right? You can't go just start a business if you want to go start one. It's not even similar to the United States in that regard. And then people don't realize that they would be the ones that benefit the least from this system. And the people that are at the very top already, those are going to be the only ones that actually benefit from this system. And you're not there, right? Like you're not at the top. And so it doesn't make sense why you would go along with this. These are the conspiracy theories that like people should be like jumping in on, not the like stupid ones that Candace Owens is saying every day, like that don't make any sense and that are really, really dumb. Like these ones that are actually like the real ones that are like actual conspiracies from powerful people all over the world trying to subvert and destroy, the American way of life and American prosperity and all the things so that they can usher in multipolarism and all the stuff that's trying to happen around the world. Like that's what keeps me up at night. I know it definitely keeps you up at night too. So it's insane to think about. And I want to touch on kind of what you were talking about, how everyone, not everyone wants the same thing, but they're willing to work together to at least get rid of what they believe is the obstacle at the time. And I've been saying this a long time, especially about the halal right, or all these woke right podcasters that really flipped right after Charlie Kirk's assassination. And because there's no longer Charlie Kirk there to tell everybody like, no, these people are insane. And they're not actually on the right. They're not pushing the values of the right. They're not conservatives, right? It's all in all of their talking points and all of their views now, and everything that they're pushing is the same multipolarity that we're seeing from Dugan. It's the same kind of push that we're seeing from Professor Jang. Not really a professor. He's just a CCP kind of talking head that they pushed out there to push all these kind of insane theories as well. And again, it's meant to undermine the MAGA and the right coalition, because they realized how powerful it was. It got Donald Trump elected again against all odds when it wasn't supposed to, with all the money and all the propaganda and everything that they put behind the Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and then the Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, and they thought again that they, with everything that they had, that they weren't going to lose because they had the whole swing state thing. They thought they had it locked again, and then Donald Trump won again, and it threw all their plans just in the blender. Nothing's good again. So they had to come up with another plan to try to figure out, how do you break up this MAGA coalition that is the most dangerous thing to them. And that's the truth of how this all happened. And I honestly believe that I don't think there was a conspiracy in that, like there was a there's anything more to Charlie Kirk's assassination than what we've seen and what the evidence has shown. I mean, I believe that it was Tyler Robinson that shot him. I think he was an indoctrinated, young man who was highly confused and had so much of this leftist ideology pushed on him, and just truly believed all of the divisive rhetoric that he had been hearing for so long. And he just believed that he had to do something about it. And that's the ecosystem we live in now. And that's the information environment that we live in now, is that they don't have to push a conspiracy theory, or they don't have to, not a theory. They don't have to like create some grand conspiracy where they hire these assassins to do all these things anymore. Like maybe we would have seen back in the day, in the 60s or something, but they don't have to do that. Why would they need to do that? All they have to do is just push propaganda, and radicalized crazy people are going to do the work for them. And then their hands are clean, right? They don't have to, now they don't now then there's no loose ends to tie up. There's no nothing. Right. And so we're going to see more of this. We just saw it again, this teacher that just tried to go assassinate Trump. He was, again, highly indoctrinated, far left progressive, who believed that Trump was a pedophile, and that all the nasty, terrible things that they've been saying about Donald Trump for years and years and years. And he felt the need to go in, and he was willing to kill people that were even on his side. He even said it in his manifesto. He was willing to kill them just for being in the room with Donald Trump. And so that's the level of crazy that we're like dealing with. But these people are so indoctrinated in this and so captured by this that this is kind of the new reality. And I'm hoping that, some of the work that you're doing and some of the work that Data Republic is doing, and then now that the federal government has realized that like this is a serious problem, I'm hoping we're going to be able to start pushing back against some of this. And I think hopefully SPLC was the kind of first domino, and I'm hoping a lot of more dominoes are about to start falling. But I mean, what do you think? Do you think that that is a domino and they're about to start falling down, or do you think that now SPLC was just, they're going to pick up the next domino, they're going to move it, and they're going to fix and reevaluate, or what?
No, I think that's the first domino. I think that's the one that was probably the easiest, with the most receipts, with the most evidence in the government, because of all of the policy that they were giving directly to Susan Rice that then became policy. I mean,
Yep.
So when you're manipulating the situation and giving the policy to fix the problem, you're creating the problem and the solution at the same time in order to be able to take Americans' rights away. And that's exactly what was happening. That's why people were censored. That's why there's the hate speech. That's why there's the dignity index. And again, you were talking about Candace Owens and the followers and the people that believe the things that she says. These people are so out there that they can see some of the things that Data Republican posts or that I post, and they somehow think that it's proof of what they're saying. And it's really crazy how they can think that in any way. This is, again, you have, like I said, that tie with Ermia Finian and the armed queers. She was a dignity index coder. I mean, like, she literally sat in a room with other college students working Tim Shriver, who, I don't know if you know this, but Tim Shriver is a Kennedy. His mom is Eunice Kennedy, who started the Special Olympics, and his dad was Sergeant Shriver that started the Peace Corps.
Okay.
And he's involved in several different arms of this whole ecosystem. He has social emotional learning. He's one of the people heavily responsible for social emotional learning being in all of our kids' schools. He does the Special Olympics. He has the Dignity Index. He has a couple of other NGOs as well. But this is what they did. They got like 20 some odd, like 28, I think, college students at the University of Utah to sit in a room and listen to political speech and then grade that political speech. And these kids, most of them are all super radical. Like, I mean, the leader and founder of Armed Queers, SLC, was a Dignity Index coder. That's who's telling you if your speech is acceptable or not.
You literally can't make this stuff up. It's
No.
insane to me.
And but this is what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that there's like, you know, like you said, no, I don't think anybody went and hired an assassin. But when you start putting all of these puzzle pieces together, it starts to build a picture. And there's definitely a radicalization pipeline. There's definitely indoctrination that's taking place. They definitely have their buzzwords or their dog whistles. Like we were told about January 6th that, oh, yeah, well, he said these words and that's the dog whistle. And I'm like, you know, I would say to these people when they would bring that up about J6, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm telling you there's no dog whistle. You're saying you're hearing a dog whistle. I think that makes you the dog. Like only the dogs can hear the whistle. But like I said, if you sit in these meetings long enough and you hear this language and you hear these words, I get a visceral reaction. Like it makes me feel nauseous. I mean, it goes all through my body when I hear them saying certain words. And the other side of that coin is there are people that hear those words and they're like, got it. I know what I need to do.
Yeah. Here, let's look at, because there's some videos in here too that we can play, right? Let's see. So this is one of the recent, well, this was done in March. This is about the 4-day miracle and how MWEG and a 500
MWEG is Mormon Women for Ethical Government.
Right. 1,400 people, 20 plus organizations, 3 professionally moderated panels, 4 days after an assassination. Yeah, definitely not organic, right?
That video right there is very important. You should listen to what this guy says.
So I concluded what you concluded, which is, I'm not going to keep doing this work if I can't solve the money problem. So several months ago, I started organizing a meeting, which is now happening in November. And I'm trying to figure out how to talk about it so that I'm not violating confidence. I think I'll just keep it vague. There's a meeting happening in November on the East Coast to which the representatives of the Soros family are invited and coming. Representatives of the Koch family are invited and coming. And 20 other funders are coming who are on the left and right and who all are appalled at what's happening with their money and what's happening with the country. And we're going to sit them down for 2.5 days at a very prestigious state of a very wealthy family that will remain nameless. And they're going to sit down and we're going to say to them, how do you feel about how your money's working? How do you feel about the way your millions are being spent? And I guarantee you, the Kochs are not very happy with Donald Trump, and the folks on the left are not very happy with what's happening on the progressive side. And they're going to basically start looking at each other and saying, is there some other way we could use our funds? My hope is that after that meeting, in the middle of November, I could come back here to the library and say, even the people that we're talking about, that we're saying are the problem, even they are starting to say we've got to do something about it. Because I agree with you that until those people with the millions and billions, until they start thinking a little differently, and they literally felt that they could use their money to get their way. What they're finding out is that their money's not getting their way. They're not getting what they want. And that's the key. So I concluded what you concluded, which is... Right.
So, yeah, that's fun. Yeah. How about this one? Let's see. Let me go back.
And at the National Civic League, we've done a project to identify what number of organizations in the country are actually working positively on these issues. And if the tech team would just pop up that map, I think most of you will be surprised to learn that there are actually more than 10,000 organizations in this country working positively to help support and strengthen our democracy. And more than 1,500 of that 11,000 are actually bridge building organizations. I invite all of you who are on this call to go to your state, go to your town, and see who's doing this work to get connected. One of the things, and you can take the map down now, please, but one of the things that all of us working in this field here is.
So explain what they really mean by that.
Well, that's the Healthy Democracy group that they put this together. There's also a Healthy Democracy hub where all these NGOs can go to this website. And if you're an NGO looking for money, you can get money from the foundations and from the donors that are willing to give it. And they connect the money with the people. And there are 10,000.
Yeah. So you just go tell them what you're looking for money for, and if it fits into their
it's
democracy.
like applying for a grant, except you don't even, I mean, you just fill out a thing. Like even to get on the website and look at, the different organizations and things like that. When I did it, you have to register. And when I did it, I registered as a donor so that I could look at all the NGOs.
Oh, wow.
It has all their assets. It has all of the information about all of the NGOs that are looking for money. And they just like put out there, like, we are doing this, and the money shows up.
That's wild. So
It's
wild.
crazy.
Right.
So crazy.
So this is a template, a crisis playbook that's been tested before. They say it on camera, relaunched, his word, not responded, not creative, relaunched. This was a relaunch of the Better Than This campaign. They first launched after Trump assassination attempt in July 2024. They had a crisis template from 14 months earlier. Charlie Kirk's death was the deployment number 2. All right, let's listen to this real quick.
The National Institute, where we went at the National Institute for Civil Discourse strategically, was to relaunch the Better Than This campaign that we launched right after the Trump assassination attempt. And for those listening, you can go to americabetterthanthis.org. And the critical piece, and this will get into our question, I think, Monica, about how we got here, where we went at the National Institute for Civil Discourse.
Yeah.
Here's
so they
the
have
Braver Angels Dignity Index stuff. Tim Shriver is the one that started
right
the Dignity Index. And the Braver Angels. We did a post about this last week or the week before. And a couple of the Braver Angels leadership, like national leadership, came out. One specifically came out and made a post basically accusing Data Republican of being a conspiracy theorist for saying that they were involved in these things. And he was saying that their CEO didn't say the things that they said, and that Harry Boyd is not a communist and was not a member of Communist Party USA, when actually in the thread, I've never seen somebody take the facts that were posted and then turn around and use those facts, like just restate what she stated.
Yeah.
They're like, this is a conspiracy theory. He's not a communist. He's always maintained he's whatever it is he says. And that's literally what she posted, with receipts, like with actual pictures from a book, like where he talks about this is what I am. Yeah. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. But also take note that these people whose organizations, the Braver Angels and Dignity Index, they're part of the bridge building movement. They want to have, less contempt in political speech, and they want us to be able to disagree better. I know you guys will probably think of Governor Cox when you hear that in Utah, because immediately after Charlie Kirk was killed, he started pushing the disagree better thing very heavily. And Dignity Index immediately mobilized within less than 24 hours. They had press conferences. They had Zoom calls with 1,400 people on them. They registered a new website. They did tons of things immediately after Charlie Kirk was killed. And yet Saturday we had an assassination attempt on President Trump, and neither one of these organizations has issued a statement.
Mm-hmm.
And
Social
I was joking.
credit rating system.
Last night I was joking, and I said, was it something I said?
Yeah. Is that why they didn't say anything?
Yeah.
So Dignity Index wants a social credit rating system, or they have one.
Yes, they have
They
one.
have
There's
one.
a speech grading tool. Like I said, those dignity index coders are the ones that are grading the political speech. And then they publish something saying, well, this candidate's political speech is, a 2 or it's a 6. And these are the same people that think that Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk are, extremist hate
Right.
groups. So that's where we're at with this. They're just trying to move the political speech further to the left.
Uh-huh.
But also their workshops that they do where they practice, it's modeled on couples therapy. So let that sink in. Somebody's going to have to give in couples therapy. And it is so far left leaning that they have to, when they are doing their post like workshop evaluations, they hand out like a survey and have them answer these questions. And when they do the report after the workshops, they have to break up the left into different categories to make it look like there's multiple categories. They say that there's reds and blues, like they're coming together, the reds and the blues. They refer to people as reds and blues. There are no reds. They're all blues. The only even semi sort of red category is slightly right. Like I lean slightly right. And there's like 3 people out of 220 something people.
Of course.
Yeah. So they're just trying to get people from the right to move to accept the political speech from the far left.
Wow. All right, what's this one right here? Let's listen to this one real quick.
Joined with Jennifer Thomas. Hi, Jennifer.
Hello.
Welcome. Jennifer.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jennifer is co-executive director of Mormon Women for Ethical Government, a fantastic partner. And you are also a sacred fellow, or a Vote is Sacred fellow with Interfaith America. And I'm joined with Heather Blakesley. Welcome, Heather. Thank you so much for being here. Heather joined with Jennifer Thomas.
Who are these? Like, they just sound woke. All of their different organizations just sound like the wokest possible organization that could have ever been created. I don't like it's insane.
Yep. I'm going to send you this little chart really quick and you can put it on the screen so people can get an idea. That guy was from Better Together America. And I want you to show them the Better Together America ecosystem. And this is from their own website. And this is from several years ago. They've kind of obviously changed and coalesced into something a little different. I thought a kid was coming in here. If you see a kid behind me, let me know so I can turn my camera off. But I just sent it to you on X. Okay. I call it, Patriot Dad actually is the one that came up with the name. He calls it the flying spaghetti monster of NGOs. This right in the middle, that light part, that is the Better Together. It says Better Together America ecosystem. And then it just goes out from there. They have their national allies listed. Braver Angels is on there. Dignity Index is on there. They even list people's names. And you have to remember there's like the interfaith stuff. So you've got the Mormon Women for Ethical Government. The Baha'i faith is very involved in all of this. The Catholic Church is very involved. Well, not the Catholic Church, but the Vatican.
Yeah.
This is from their website. This isn't something that I made or some random person on the internet. This is their website.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All Black Churches Group. Civic Synergy.
Because
Center
this is
for
one world
Study of
government.
Human Policies.
This is also not just implementing like a Marxist, communist, socialist, whatever you want to call it, society in the United States and governance in the United States. This is also the one world government UN agenda. This is where all of the ESGs come in, the economic, social, governance scores. Yep. And you have the companies, the corporations that decided to comply. They have to use the climate change to be able to also manipulate people. This is all the UN thing. So when you talk about one world government, they also want one world religion. And it's not necessarily an established religion. You have the evolutionary leaders that come in here on one of the arms. And, you have evolutionary leaders like Deepak Chopra So if you think about like Oprah Winfrey and what she's been pushing on TV for decades, that's
Yeah.
like The Secret and things like that. That's like the one world religion that they're pushing for. And it's basically that like you are the God of your circumstances. But at the same time, they preach to you. You can't think about the individual. There are no individual rights. It's everything is about the collective. But yet
Yep.
you're in control of your environment. You are the God of your life.
The
It's
Center
disgusting.
for Humane Technology.
Yeah.
Some of these.
And this is from years ago. You have to understand this has grown to be thousands.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And they used this thing called the Thriving Together Springboard. And like I said about that summit, they also had a democracy summit. That's a whole other story. But the United We Stand summit is where these bridge builders came together. That meeting he was talking about, that Mark Gerzon was talking about in that video, where he was going to bring together Soros and Koch, they ended up creating an organization together. And they also started something called New Pluralists because they're pushing for pluralism. But it's hard to explain exactly. I think Data Republican does a much better job. She uses these words that I can't even really pronounce, like autopoiesis, and I don't even know what that means. But they basically came together again. Like this is the one world government thing. You have even the really creepy stuff. Like if you think about Epstein and the transhumanism stuff and the work that he was doing on DNA and that he was donating to the college for the center where they were literally doing research on these things. It all factors in together. It's all part of one disgusting, big, I don't even know what to call it. It's just gross.
Yeah. So here's the Braver Angels thread for Data Republican.
Yes, this is the one that got them all worked up, which is why I think they haven't made a statement. That's why I was like, was it something I said?
Oh, yeah, fantastic. I mean, you gotta love when you get under people's skin enough. Like me and Matt Tardio got under Sean Ryan's skin enough that he used 2 of our posts in his little video.
Really?
Well, he won't respond to us, but he used them under he was talking about dumb, like if you're dumb looking at dumb posts, and then it like shows up a phone and you can see like one of my posts and you can see one of Matt Tardio's posts. I was like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I was like, it's funny that you'll use this in your little promo video, but you won't actually respond to anything when I call you out for all the nonsense that you've been posting lately. But hey, you know what? What do we expect out of you? You know, at this point.
I mean, and I have a hard time figuring out. The one thing I can't figure out is which ones of these people actually believe the things that they're saying, and which ones are motivated by money or power or fame or whatever, and which ones are just flat out like have been manipulated, like behavioral manipulation, like, psyop type shit.
I think a lot of them. I think again, I did a article the other day, or I published it last week or a week ago, about the United States being divided, and kind of how you don't this whole propaganda push, and kind of like we were just talking about, that again, they don't all have to align. All of our enemies they're not really working together. They're also just not working against each other, so
well, they're working together, but they all have the common goal currently, and the common goal currently is we have to break down the United States system in order to be able to implement what we want. They'll fight about that later,
right? But they don't have to actually, like, they don't have to approach an influencer and be like, hey, we're from this government, we're going to pay you. They don't have to do that anymore. I think audience capture is a big thing. I think Nate from Valhalla is 100% just audience captured. I think when he started saying these things that he's been saying, the anti-Israel things, he started blaming everything on Jews and started just going that route. He started getting a lot more views. He started getting a lot more likes, a lot more super chats, a lot more money. and he just started pushing it more and more. And because that's what he saw that the metrics wanted. I think Sean Ryan, I think is the same kind of thing. I think his studio, he got a new producer recently. He's had one of the ladies that was involved with his show from before. She's been commenting on some of the stuff on my stuff recently. And I think his old producer too, I think they, realize like you can only do the vet bro, like cool war stories for so long. And eventually that's just saturated. Right. And then eventually you're not going to get many more viewers, and you're not going to just move up anywhere. You're not going to do much more. And for somebody like, I don't care. I mean, like, again, I'm not here. I'm comfortable in my life. I'm perfectly happy. I'm raising my babies, and, I'm just trying to, I want America to succeed. And that's more important to me than anything else. But some people, they want a lot bigger things. And I think that he wants a lot bigger things. I think he wants the biggest show that he can possibly have. And to do that, they have to be a more left-leaning, more, anti-Trump kind of platform. And that's what he's become, because that's what is going to make him more money. And so I think that, and I don't think that necessarily means that somebody has captured him by, we're going to pay you a bunch of money to say all this stuff. That could have happened, right? I don't have any evidence that has happened. So I think it's entirely possible that it's just, hey, these are the metrics that we see. These are the, when you post this or when you do a show on this, it gets more traction, and it makes us more money. So we're going to keep doing more of this. So.
Yeah, but it's kind of hard to tell which ones are which, even within our government and elected officials. It's hard to tell if someone's been captured, by this movement or by a foreign country, or if they really believe what they're saying. It's hard to tell because you have people that have been in Congress for decades and decades. I mean, there are some that have been there longer than I've been alive, and I'm 43. And when they have completely pivoted in the last couple of years from everything that they've ever said, when you think about Iran, when you think about the border, when you think about all these things, you had Democrats, actual hardcore Democrats, not even just like moderate Democrats. You had Democrats that agreed, because this is common sense stuff. They agreed on all these things. And then all of a sudden you have them all coming out and going against everything Donald Trump is saying. And Donald Trump's been saying the same things since the 80s. He hasn't changed. Why are all of these people changing when this is common sense stuff? It's just, it's wild to watch.
I will say that, I mean, that has been weird for like Sean Ryan coming out and saying the same talking points, like Joe Kent saying the same talking points as all these Democrats and all these other people on the whole all right. It's all these Iran isn't actually the enemy now talking points, when like Iran has been the enemy. Iran was the enemy in 2002. Iran was the enemy in 79. Iran has been the enemy since then. And it was a problem that we've just kicked the can down the road for almost 50 years. And so don't tell me that they're not the enemy. I mean, how many thousands of our troops, how many thousands of our citizens have died because of Iran? How many U.S. interests have been damaged abroad because of Iran? I mean, just the list is endless, right? It's an endless list. And there's no arguing good faith that this did not need to happen. That there was no justification for us hitting Iran at any point in the last 47 years. Like, right there was definitely at any point in the last 47 years we were justified in hitting Iran. And and all of a sudden now it's just, you're right, it's all these people that are saying all these things. And it's really hard to say, because like Joe Kent, that's one that's a head scratcher for me, because I mean he complete 180, right? The way that he resigned is so far. Like, just imagine resigning from any job, not just like a government high level government job, but just imagine resigning from any job on social media, right? Like posting your resignation to social media. Like, that's just insane. Like, you don't, like, who would do that? No one would do that. You're black. You'd be blackballed from that, like from that kind of, like from anything. If it's a public workforce, like you're not working again. I don't know, man. It's it's been a weird environment since Charlie Kirk was killed, and I honestly didn't see it going that way. It's definitely been way different than I thought it was going to be. And I think it was that coupled with all the propaganda push that we've seen since October 7th, 23, you know, like those together, it's been wild. It's been wild to see all the different stuff from there.
Yeah, it has been. And Joe Kent was one of those. That one got to me. And the way that he resigned, like you said, I cannot get over the fact that he said out loud that he had a call with Donald Trump and he spoke to him for like 10 or 15 minutes. Do you remember when he said that? And I remember thinking to myself, if you had a call with Donald Trump before you resigned and posted that on the internet, why didn't you tell Donald Trump the things that you're now going on all these podcasts and telling all these people that Donald Trump isn't getting to hear this because the people around him are keeping him from hearing it? Why didn't you tell him all of those things? Why did you have to go on podcasts to say that? And why did you post that resignation like that and like attempt to burn everything down on the way out the door? If you had a conversation with Donald Trump and Donald Trump said nice things about you for at first, why would you do that? Why didn't you just tell him what it is you needed to say? Or are you just lying?
Well, I think that, man, I don't know if he was he lying about his position on Iran for all of those years when he was pretending to be a libertarian and then a Republican? Was he really a Democrat the whole time? And he was just doing that because that's where he felt like he could fit into the political system at the time. And then now he's just being who he has always been. Or is he now flipping so that he can join and run as a Democrat and hopefully win because he stuck it to Donald Trump and resigned in protest and, did all the things that would set him up for a run. It's just, there's so many different, again, it's hard to say. And from how it works. I mean, there's different ways to cultivate an asset. And I'm not saying necessarily that he is an asset. He could have just decided that he was going to do it this way because this was his plan and he wants to do it, do blah, 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 blah. And now he's going to run for whatever. That seems highly unlikely to me. But you either compromise them, and then use whatever compromising information to coerce them into doing it. You can use compensation. So, we'll give you whatever, whether it's money, whether it's positions, whatever it may be, a job. And then there's just winning someone over into your ideology. And maybe he was one of those who was already in that ideology and he had just been pretending the whole time. I don't know. And again, maybe he's not an asset. Maybe he's just been pretending the whole time. Maybe that's why he wasn't effective in his job from the get-go. He was in a very important job. That's another thing that's really sad about all this too. Is like you're a Green Beret, you're a Green Beret. Like he had what is, in my opinion, a fantastic career. Did a lot of great things, and then is in a position to really like positively affect and ensure that nothing that terrorists, and not only just like foreign terrorists, but these domestic terror cells that are operating on U.S. soil and that are doing inordinate amount of damage all over the country. Like he could have assisted in busting up a lot of those, because the NTCC, they get all of that information, right? And they're collating and aggregating all of that data. And then he could have had a direct hand in pushing that information out to the appropriate authorities so that they could have actioned that intelligence. And then, but what do we see from his time? I don't know. I'm not seeing anything.
No.
And maybe it's just because, maybe we aren't going to see that. But it's just really sad. It's like, man, you could have went in here and really done some great work for your country. And it
Yeah.
seems like instead you jumped on the Candace Owens podcast train, and that's all you were concerned with the whole time you were in this really important job. I don't know, man. It's sad.
I had so much hope for him, and I defended him so much when he was chosen. And, I thought of all people that he also not only had a love of the country, obviously for his service, and I'm not discounting his service in any way. I appreciate all veterans, whether they agree with me politically or not. But I felt like of all people, he not only loved this country enough to serve and to sacrifice in the way that he did, but I felt like he also had, his personal reasons. Again, I mean, he lost his wife to terrorism. And I just feel like I really thought of all people, he would have the right, the motivation, and he would be great at his job. Like, he had personal motivation outside of just loving his country. And
Yeah.
to end up here, it's kind of like, a punch in the gut. I couldn't believe it. I was in shock. I was like, this can't be happening right now. There's no way this is real.
Yeah.
But
When I
it
saw
was.
yeah. One of my buddies texted me and was like, did you see this? And like sent me I was like, what? I read it like 3 times because I was like, no way. Like, no way this is real, dude. This is like, someone hacked his account and like put this out, because there's no way. There's no way, one, a Green Beret and then like no way a man would resign this way from a high level government position like this. Like, there's just no way either of those things would, like, there's just no way. I just couldn't see it. It's like, it's one of those things, even if you disagree with the president or the CEO of whatever company you're working for, or like whatever it may be, like whatever the situation may be, going like public like that and doing it that way, it just irks me. It's just icky, dude. It's just, I don't like it. I don't like it. I wouldn't like it even if it was like one of my best friends. I wouldn't like it if, like, I just wouldn't like it. It's not something that I would condone. And I don't know, some of those, those things, I think those things should remain private. You have a falling out with your business, or you have a falling out with your government position, or like whatever it may be. Like, have your private falling out with each other, and then like move on with your life. Not everything has to get posted on social media. I'm a firm believer in that. I mean, I have a pretty big platform. If I wanted to post every little thing from my life on social media, I could, and I think that would be silly. And I don't know. It's just weird.
I completely agree. I don't think it's right. And if you worked in any industry at all, if you did that, you would be unemployable. You would not be able to be hired again in that industry, because everyone in that industry would be like, yeah, no, I'm not touching that. Who knows what they're going to do if they decide to leave? They're going to burn it all down on the way out the door. I mean, you just can't do that.
Yep. All right, let's go through this. Let's go through it. I mean, it actually makes
so
me
much
angry.
Information.
Yeah, it actually makes me angry to talk about Joe Kent. So I just have to like move on before start saying things on video that I probably shouldn't say. Like, I see his posts still, and I don't even follow him anymore. Like, I unfollowed him because I'm like, I don't actually want to have to see all the stuff he's going to put out, because I know he's going to sit here and he's going to lie, because he's already done it multiple times. And I've responded to multiple of posts now, and I'm like, because he keeps lying about things. He keeps lying about Israel. He keeps lying about Iran. I'm like, why are you doing this, dude? It's so insane to me. Especially from someone who knows, right? Who knows about the threat that Iran has. Like, it's just All right, so here we go. So this is
a good one.
Yeah, we're listening to this. So this is the Braver Angels, and they're a bipartisan, right? Bipartisan.
Yeah, and IMEP calls it transpartisan.
Transpartisan.
Yeah.
And David,
let me get this started.
has put together a a featured plenary at the National Conference on Citizenship on the 16th, which will be a launch of a new stage.
Look, that
for
guy has
Braver Angels.
the UN's Sustainable Development Goals as
Some
his
of us have been
background.
working on for.
Which one?
That guy with all the squares behind him. That's the UN sustain. That's what you're dealing with. This is literally when I say, and the UN is the one, like it's the UN Sustainable Development Goals implementation in the United States. People
So
are like,
this
that's crazy.
The four-way test of things we think. What's that say? Say do. 7 areas of focus. All that. Oh.
And then the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which, by the way, that's the award that I found that was given by Utah Global Diplomacy to Urmia Finian, the leader of Armed Queers SLC. He, she, it, I don't know, won a 7 for 17 award, which Utah Global Diplomacy is funded in part by Global Ties US, which is just like the national level organization. And Global Ties US is 100% State Department funded.
Oh, that's fantastic. Still, like to this day?
Yeah, they're a sponsoring partner of America 250 because America 250 isn't what everyone thinks it is. This goes deep.
God.
It goes deep. These tentacles are in every part of our government. Every part. There were lawsuits filed over America 250, by the way. It's not been good. The Trump administration, I think, has started to take notice because they started rearranging the funding and they started changing how the funds were distributed. But yeah, America 250 is not what you think it is. And they even changed it under the Biden administration to where international partners could be involved. So it's not just Americans.
Notice this guy over here. So we got a priest.
Yep.
And,
there you go.
And then what's up with it? What's this flag?
I don't remember which organization he's from, but you also have Danielle Reef right there. I can't remember if that's USAID or US Institute of Peace, but she's one of the Maria Stefan types. This is like Maria Stefan and her, I think she's part of Horizons Project. That's the actual like CIA operating on US soil. And then, you have the Bobby Milstein, Harry Boyd. That's the guy that's an actual communist. He was a member of the Communist Party, USA. And then he decided it wasn't a good look. So he decided to name it something different. Like he left the Communist Party, but like publicly left. But then he started saying he was like a communitarian, or I think it's in this thread. I mean, he like made up some name. And that's like when that John Wood guy reposted this post and tried to say he was disappointed in Data Republican because she always just, follows the truth. She doesn't add any conspiracy theories. And he's disappointed that this is a huge conspiracy theory against, Braver Angels. And he stands up for this guy. And he literally says he's not a communist. He's not a part of Communist Party USA. He's a communitarian or whatever he calls himself. And I'm reading this and I'm like, did this guy really just take the receipts that you posted with words from his book that say he said that he can't publicly be attached to Communist Party USA, so he's going to call himself this. And this was decades ago. So he's always maintained that he's this over here, and you're just going to repeat that and say you're wrong, he's this. Like, that's literally what we said. It's insane. Wild. It's wild.
This guy's from Ball State. And my favorite is, again, this priest here that's he, him. He's got his pronouns.
Exactly.
And this is so fantastic.
Wow. Which is moving from a main focus on depolarization work. How do we get over hating each other, to civic action in communities that is led by citizens and has other partners. It coincides with the new CEO of Braver Angels, Murray Giles, who is quite enthusiastic and will be at the NCOC. So I'm pleased that David could be here today.
Makes me cringe already. All right. Calls for a nationwide civic uprising stop Trump, foil his efforts, pile on the lawsuits, turn some of his followers against him. Huh. Sounds kind of like what we're seeing, right? That's weird.
Weird.
Oh, what's this guy talking about over here? Let's see. Let's listen to this.
We have a little bit about the Intermovement Impact Project. We are here to help build a broad-based, multi-stranded pro-democracy movement around a positive vision and concretized and locally rooted action. That's strategy number 4 from Rachel Kleinfeld's 5 strategies to support U.S. democracy. We are also here to catalyze a connected, coherent, and compelling, transpartisan, thriving together U.S. democracy and civic renewal movement of many movements.
Oh, it gets
And
better.
finally, we're here to foster a co-generative build, block, bridge, and belong change-making response to all the breaking that's going on and all the stuff that's already broken about our politics and about, things related to our democracy. A little bit, we have a future forum construct. I'm not going to dwell on this very much, but part
Future
I
foreign
mean,
construct. Okay.
no,
we have-
they call it a network of networks. It's a movement of many movements, a network of networks. I mean, the language they use is insane. They talk about these civic hubs, it's your civic muscle. They like go into detail about this plan and how they're organizing, and they've got it organized all the way from boots on the ground, policy changes, all of these things. They have what they call a fractal network of, and they talk about belonging and civic muscle. The movement scales through a fractal network where organizing principles apply consistently from local to national, the same at every level, like a snowflake.
Wow.
And I said earlier when we first started, I said Rachel Kleinfeld's strategy number 5. I meant it's 5 strategies for democracy, but it is strategy number 4 that they focus on the most. But you can pull that paper up, like it's published. And I think it's published through Carnegie.
I'm gonna read that. Read it later.
Yeah, because this is like literally like CIA type shit.
Engage the left in defending democracy by making it deliver. Give the left all the socialist policies it wants and give them employment in democracy NGOs so they can actually show up at the polls and stop another Trump. Wow, dude. String accountability to reset norms on what behavior. Reset norms
on what
behavior and legal. Oh my gosh. Punish populists via lawfare, criminalities, censor social media. Dude, like these people, man.
This is just a couple of NGOs out of thousands, and this right here is just talking about like one NGO out of the entire just bridging movement. And you have to remember they have the 4 Bs, but it's actually 6.
Right. Yeah. And we saw that dude was literally talking about those Bs that you were talking about, the 4 Bs. Boy, in the same time, referring to BA citizen-led solutions, our citizens-led solution initiative.
This is the civic muscle. And this is where they have the living room conversations. They even talk about it. Tim Shriver, after we posted our first post on Braver Angels and Dignity Index, Tim Shriver came out to do damage control, and he went on Fox News with Brett Baer.
Really?
Yes. And they seriously have not made a comment after the attempted assassination on the president, when everyone's saying it's the rhetoric that's causing the problem. And these people's entire purpose of their NGO is depolarizing political speech. Why have they not made a statement? Again,
Right.
Was it something I said? Oops.
Yeah, I definitely had something to do with it. They're in the noticing. I'll say that they're of the noticing these days. You know how like all these Jew haters today, they like to tell me that they're the noticing now. Like, you're noticing propaganda that's been fed to you because you're an idiot and you don't know history. That's all you're noticing is propaganda.
Or the Constitution. Or
Right.
how a bill becomes a law. Like,
Yeah,
we need to
yeah,
take it all the
like-
way back to like how a bill becomes a law.
So it's so bad. All right, so this one, lest you think regime change is an exaggeration, here's Van Cradle, IMIP, call June 30th, 2025. I come from the international democracy space. How do we bring our skills working in closing civic spaces and authoritarian regimes to the broader civic? Oh my God. All right.
I have a thread too about the democracy grading tools. You get these fired USAID employees and U.S. Institute of Peace employees that used to do actual color revolutions in foreign countries on a panel, and they start talking about their work, and they literally say out loud that they are so excited to be able to use the democracy grading tools that they used to use when they worked for the federal government on foreign countries, that they get to now finally use it on here in the United States. This is literally the CIA operating on U.S. soil.
It is. That's what's insane about all this is like all these, I mean, yeah, like closing down USAID after what it became. So this is what a lot of people don't understand too, is like the idea behind USAID in the initial, when it was first started, I don't actually disagree with, right? Because if it had been used the way it was supposed to be used, it's kind of the same concept as what we did in when we're in country, we have a thing called, like I was a medic, so we have a thing called a med cap, and a med cap is where you set up like a little, like I would go in with all my medical equipment, and we would tell a village like, hey, bring your sick, or if you have little wounds or like whatever, and our docs will look at you and check you out, make sure you're good, blah blah blah, free healthcare type of stuff. And that's one, you're winning the hearts and minds, right? That's part of it. But the other part is we would seek them, which is, use the biometrics and get all their data and all their information and all that kind of stuff. And we would match it and figure out if any of these people were actually terrorists or linked to terrorists. But that, and also you're gathering intelligence while you're doing all this stuff. So USAID is the same kind of concept. It's like, hey, we can go in and we can, under the guise of giving aid to these people, we can also gather a lot of intelligence, and it gives us access and placement to these countries that gives us a reason to be there, all the things, right? So from that standpoint, it does make sense. And it also keeps the U.S. footprint off of things that need to happen in certain countries where U.S. footprint can't necessarily be on. And it also gives non-attributable actions a way to happen. And what I mean by that is things that need to happen, the U.S. government can't always just put its own financial footprint on, right?
Right.
But what it grew into was this nasty, massive monster of fraud, waste, and abuse. And it was being used by far leftists and then it was even being used on U.S. soil and against the American people and all the things. So it needed to be shut down because it became this monster. But then it closed down, and all these people just joined these NGOs, and now they're doing all the same things they were doing against Americans now anyway. And it's just like how, so like, what do we do? Do we figure out who all these, like, do we arrest all these people? Like, what's the answer to this? Now we broke up this problem. It's like we stomped on an anthill and all the ants scattered and went to all these other different anthills, but now they're all still like,
they're still in the
us.
same colony. It is still the same colony. They are so organized. If there's anything our side of the aisle needs to learn from this, it's to be able to mirror the level of organization. I mean, they have it organized literally all the way from not only get out the vote, but they have it organized just like, and every arm of this is dual purpose. So like with the Braver Angels, and they have these workshops where they try to bring the reds and blues together, and we're going to learn how to disagree better and have, less contempt of our speech. And it's modeled after couples therapy, all those things. But then when you read like the after reports from the workshops, they are talking about how they are learning what's actually happening is these people that are on the far left are sitting down with people that supposedly disagree with them, and they're learning how to speak with less contempt so they can take those tools and use them with their legislators in order to influence policy at their local and state level. They're teaching them how to go out and how to get the policy implemented that they want implemented. It's I mean, that just like the civic muscle, pay attention to the language for America 250 as well, because they're doing things in
Yeah.
schools with America 250 and bringing the civics back. They're doing the telling of the stories. That's one of the things they talk about, the living room conversations. They're doing the telling of the stories. And all these organizations are involved in America 250. I mean, the letter, the open
They're
letter.
playing the long game.
And the letter that was written to basically the government and the people of the United States, that's supposedly written and signed by the millennials, saying, you know, you've had your chance at the government and you've failed, and we don't just want a seat at the table. Like, this is our table now. We're just taking it over. And this is this is a lot of the people that want the actual color revolution.
Mm-hmm.
The actual like revolution. Like, they talk about like the college kids. I have a kid that's in college, and the last master's program, and the last few years, literally the discussion is French Revolution. That's the only solution, is French Revolution. That's what these 20 somethings think.
Huh. I mean, they realized the French Revolution was a like leftist populist uprising, right? I mean, that's what they want. It's wild. It's wild. It's just it's crazy to me. Again, all these people have been so brainwashed into thinking that collectivism is the answer to all their problems, right? That collectivism will solve all the issues. When every single time in history that collectivism has been tried, it has failed, and it's failed to the detriment of millions and millions of people dead. And I mean, you can look at any of the civilizations that have done it. I mean, even China today, which is, yeah, I mean, China, the CCP is still in power. I wouldn't call it a great, benevolent government, though. And I wouldn't call the people that live there thriving or
free.
Free, or yeah, exactly. Like they've lived so long under this totalitarian, tyrannical government that there's no getting, like, how would they even get out of it at this point? So
I don't know. But what is scary about this, like I said, about the level of organization, just like with me saying, and they're not free. This is another thing when I talk about the words that they use. They do actual studies. And I still haven't put together a thread about this. And it's been months and months. I'm like, I'm going to do a thread about this. I haven't done it. But they do actual studies on the words that resonate with the most amount of Americans, and they do it from both sides of the aisle. They see what words resonate with the left, what words resonate with the right. And in all of these studies, they consider the left highly educated. They consider the right just stupid. And that's why they say that people on the right don't identify with words like equity, because they just don't understand what it means. And they are trying to use and co-opt even more words that resonate with the right. And so be watching, because your Democrat elected officials and these Democrat NGOs, all these Democrat left-leaning, progressive, communist, socialist, whatever you want to call them, not on the right side of the aisle people, are going to start using words like liberty and freedom. And they're going to say it all the time. And then those words are going to make you nauseous, because they aren't talking about liberty and freedom like we mean liberty and freedom. Just like when they say democracy, they don't mean democracy like we think of democracy. And they're doing the same thing. Their next words that they are co-opting are freedom and liberty. And it is extremely disturbing.
Yeah. It's just like they're co-opting America First, right? Like this whole America First movement that is actually, it's not America First, it's America Only, right? Like it's an isolationist movement that doesn't actually put America first, because they're fine with America losing ground in the world. They're fine with America losing its place in the world stage, as long as they remove themselves from every conflict and remove themselves from everything else in the world, and only become America only. Like, that's what they actually really want. But they co-opt these terms and then use them to make it seem like this is what they, it's the left has been co-opting words for a long time, and they're not going to stop that. And they're going to change the meaning of words all the time. And that's what they've been doing it since, they've been doing it since the early 1900s,
Yep.
when really collectivist ideologies kind of started becoming a thing, since Marxism and all that. So yeah, it's crazy. People, they need to learn history, and that's a hard sell, because people don't like to learn history. They don't like to read, and they would rather turn on one of these silly podcasts, which was kind of funny because, like, we're doing a podcast right now, but I feel like ours is a little less silly. But hey, whatever.
Yeah, we're talking about
I'm
important
biased.
things here. Okay.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
informational. It's so much information, we can't even give it to you all at once, because it's making my head hurt, and I researched this for a very long time, and I don't even know how to explain it to people. It's so much.
Right. It is a lot. It's so much information, and we're gonna have to. I know, doing the whole social media thing's not like your favorite thing, but you're gonna have to come back, because we're gonna have to talk about more stuff, because there's just so much, and we just don't have enough time to go through it all. And it's, golly. So we didn't even get to some of the stuff that I kind of even wanted to get to, like the staged, this assassination, all these assassinations are staged, and how, what is, you sent me something like 40 or 50% of Democrats think that the assassination attempts on Trump were staged. We're talking millions and millions of people think that Trump is staging assassination attempts against himself. Like,
It's crazy. It's crazy. Listen, there's a lot of people. There's not very many people actually on this planet that I trust, like, fully with my life, that I would trust to protect me and make sure I was perfectly okay. You couldn't get the number one sniper on the planet to sit up on a rooftop and tell me, okay, now, and then this guy's going to pull the trigger, and he's just going to barely graze you somewhere. I can't tell you where, but just going to graze you somewhere, but he's not going to kill you. Who is going to agree to stand there and get shot at? That's not happening, you guys.
Dude,
that's not happening.
No, that's insane. It's not only that, but like this most recent one, you don't leave the patsy alive, right? So like this most recent one especially is out. Like, you don't, like, that dude's, if he was like a part, like a setup, if it was staged, that dude's dying for sure, right? Like, there's no way you can leave him alive so that he could then make a deal and be like, no, I have the communications where they set all this up, and like, like that. That's what we call a loose end, folks, and that would be really dumb.
It's so crazy, and I love the fact that they've now pivoted. Remember all the times that the liberals, because I say social media isn't my thing, but I started out debating politics on TikTok because I love debating the left. It's so easy, and I call myself a dog walker because I walk them exactly where I want them to go. I know what they're going to say before they say it, and I lead them directly into it, and then I watch their crash out. It's actually very entertaining. But remember when they would all talk about, like, police shootings, and they would say, well, why don't they just shoot them in the leg? Why don't they just do this or do that? We all know the answers to that. But then they also, would say, well, he was black, or he was a person of color, so, of course they're gonna shoot him. Literally all of their narratives went right out the window with this guy, because he's a person of color and he's alive. He didn't get shot. They took him into custody. So I thought, so are they racist, or are they not racist? Like, do they only kill people of color or not? Like, you're gonna have to make this make sense for us.
Yep. And then how about all the ones that are like, oh, he missed? We're like, well, was it staged or did he miss?
Right.
Like was
He
it
didn't
like
even
like
he didn't even get on the right floor.
no,
He
yeah,
didn't even make
he
it to
didn't
the right floor.
yeah, he didn't even make it there yet, but did he miss or did he, like I don't know. It's all insane. I don't know. That's
Did
what's
you
that and go ahead.
I was going to change the subject. You keep talking.
No. Go. Change it. You can change it.
I'm sorry. Before we go, because I know you've been in the Candace Owens thing with Gary a lot and talking about all of that. And I didn't know if you saw that Laura Loomer released the mugshot of her husband,
I did.
allegedly.
I did
the
see
alleged mugshot, because I don't know. I haven't looked into it, but so allegedly, the alleged mugshot of George Farmer. That was kind of entertaining. And I can't believe all the indictments that happened today. So much happened today, and I haven't had much time to look at any of it. All of the stuff that came out from Grassley yesterday. I mean, there's just so much going on.
Let's see. What? So he had a DUI?
He had a DUI. And see, I was contacted about this months and months ago. And I was like, I can't verify this. I can't find the records because they were expunged. But I'm like, I can't find I'm not going to post something about someone if there's a chance that it's not true. Like, I don't want to be that person. And now
Yeah,
I don't
Laura
know how
doesn't
they
care.
Oh yeah, no, she definitely doesn't. That's funny. But I mean, it appears as though,
yeah, it looks like a mugshot, obviously.
and where's Candace been? Has she posted today? Because when I looked this morning, it had been over
No.
3 days since she had posted or even replied. I even went to her replies. She hadn't even replied to anybody. She hasn't been on the internet at all. Where do we need to call in a wellness check?
Let's see. March 16th. Yeah, April. Well, that was what, April 24th? Yeah, 4 days ago.
Yep.
That was the last post. Yeah, sorry. I know. This is what's crazy. I talked about this. We talked about this the other day. Candace Owens has like a team, right? She has a team of people working her show. This is like, she's not. It's not like me. Like
And
my
us.
show.
It's not like us.
I'm in my I'm in my kids' game room. Where my bookshelf is behind me. Like I'm the only person involved in this, and me and you are just like messaging about this. Like she has a team doing this. She's like, oh, sorry, I thought I let you guys know. Like your team would have this was all not planned, right? They left for whatever reason. So I don't know, kind of funny.
But even go to her replies. Yeah. She hadn't even, or when I looked this morning, she hadn't even replied to anyone.
Yeah, no, that was the last one.
Yeah,
there,
that's weird. I mean, maybe somebody needs a wellness check. But
so she was supposed to start back today, and then I thought she said she was supposed to start back today, and then maybe she didn't, and then Nick Fuentes was too, right?
I don't know. I haven't looked at him at all. I can't stand that guy. I actually debated a group of Reupers before the election. I didn't know that people that really thought those things existed. I thought people were just saying things on the internet to be inflammatory and to be, stupid, guys. These people actually believe the stuff that they're saying. It's disgusting. And I had people that follow me that are from the left, that were in the comments saying, I've never agreed with SK before because we're diametrically opposed on politics, but I'm finding myself agreeing with everything she's saying. Like, when the left is agreeing with you when you're talking to some people, it's a messed up situation. These Groypers are insane.
What is Nick on? Is he on Rumble? I've never actually. I've watched like a few minutes of his show, but
I don't even know where to watch his show. I have no idea.
I think it's on Rumble. I think it's the only one that he can actually be on. Let's see. He said he was going to come back. No, he did a episode yesterday, so he's back, I guess.
Darn it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Candace isn't though, and there's definitely trouble in paradise though, because I don't know if you saw it's terrible. I don't know if you saw. Actually, here, I'll show this real quick. apparently, is that Sneeko?
That guy is crazy.
So that they have a falling out, which is hilarious. All right, so
I don't know. Were they friends? I didn't even know who the Sneeko guy was until
there
all
was
this
there was
jihad and stuff.
there was a whole thing. There was a whole people saying that they were gay together or something. I don't know. Whatever. Maybe they
I
had a falling
believe
out,
it.
but
It's probable.
Dave Smith now has had a falling out with a bunch of the other Groypers. So him and Dan Bilzerian, who's one of the dumbest people who's ever existed on this planet. And they went at it with each other the last couple of days. So it's actually been pretty funny to watch, like them kind of eating each other now after all this stuff is happening. And all this started right after the SPLC dump. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with all this stuff. So
yeah, the SPLC was all up in the Biden administration and the Obama administration. They've been pulling strings for a long time, and it's all
and the ADL. They need to hit the ADL as well.
Oh,
and
the ADL.
That's it.
There are more than just that. There's a lot.
Yeah, and the ADL is terrible too. And Stephen Miller, did you see the post he did about the ADL? It was great.
I don't know if I did or not. I am still stuck from last night having to go off about MAGA men being protective of their women, and the fact that these people that are saying that Stephen Miller was using his pregnant wife as a shield are actually retarded, because that means that the Secret Service was using Stephen Miller and the wife as protection. It's because the Secret Service knows where the threat is, and they're putting her the farthest away from the threat, which is why Secret Service was behind both of them.
Right. Like, people are just dumb. People don't understand tactics. They don't understand anything. Like, they also, like, they were like, why did they move the vice president out there first and Trump? Like, they have evacuation procedures for both of them to go to different areas at different times for different reasons on purpose, because they're not going to take them out at the same time on the same route. So that if they were, like, say that guy was say that dude running in was just a distraction, right? And that was to lock them down and send them into their procedures and say that those were compromised. Like, they're not going to go the same route, and they're not going to go together, or they're not going to, like, it's just, people just don't understand how any of this nonsense works. And so they just say all this stuff and they have no idea what they're talking about. And that's what we're dealing with most of the time.
They're just so stupid. And I don't understand why, like, have you seen, like, Candace Owens supporters turning on her after all this stuff has come out? Have they been asking questions like, well, are you guys living together? I mean, I had questions when Laura Loomer posted about the trust. I was like, this isn't really proving anything to me, because anybody with assets is going to have a trust, and they're going to have it in trust. And there could be multiple reasons for two different houses, including what if they bought one and they're fixing it up, whatever the circumstances may be. But my first thought when I saw two houses that were multi-million-dollar houses 2.3 miles from each other was they don't live together. That was my first initial gut reaction. But I mean, like, are people asking questions, or are they just like, wait, we've been like, the wool has been pulled over our eyes. Like, we have been manipulated and lied to this entire time, and we bought into it and followed her down all these rabbit holes and never got a single answer out of her.
Well, again, the grift can only go on for, like, so long, because yes, some people will just stay captured in that. Some of the dumbest, like, craziest fans will stay, like, fans no matter what. But she has 7 million? She has like 7 million followers, right? So, like, you can only keep, like, there's still a lot of those people that are going to be fairly normal, like, and they expect some sense of logic at some point, right? You can only, like, keep these people soap operaed for so long before they're like, okay, like, you got to show me something real at some point, like at least one little thing to keep me going. And then once the infighting too that's starting is gonna throw a lot of them off, and a lot, like, just the Dave Smith and the Dan Bilzerian thing, like, they're both gonna lose a bunch of followers because they're fighting each other, and, like, now that's a crack in the, like, Groyper like anti-Israel, alliance thing, that now, he was kind of like he's not even like he's not even really Jewish. He claimed his grandmother was, like, Jewish or something. and so that he was like Jewish, so that he could say he hates Israel and be like, but I'm a Jew, so it's fine that I can hate Israel. Like, that's how he kind of like phrased it. But obviously Dan Bilzerian used that against him and just called him like a subversive Jew, right? And so then like as they're arguing, that's what he called him. And so like it's really funny to kind of like watch all this come out now. And it's like, see, you
Like a train
you were
wreck.
you're a capo, and now like you at the end of the day, when you're dealing with people who hate you because they're racists or because they're anti-Semites, at the end of the day, the second you disagree with them on one little thing, they're going to throw you into that same camp and they're going to hate you. And this is the way it works. It happened in Germany. It happened, that we've seen this throughout history. But this was Stephen Miller's post. It's actually really good. He said, speaking as a Jew, ADL is not a Jewish organization. It is an ultra-left activist organization that pushes radical transgenderism, border erasure, police dismantlement, and the demolition of free speech, deploying rank slander, bullying, and character assassination to achieve its aims. These views and tactics are expressly contrary to sacred Jewish and biblical teaching. When justly criticized, ADL and its defenders falsely claim anti-Semitism, thereby diminishing all past and present victims of anti-Semitism. In fact, conflating criticism of ADL with criticism of Jews is itself an anti-Semitic trope. Bottom line, ADL is a disreputable organization that has gravely undermined Jewish interests and is worthy of the strongest condemnation. Nice, bro.
Yep.
Cool.
I mean,
and he's not wrong. He's not
no,
wrong.
he's not. It'll come out. Just like baby steps, you guys. Things are happening. Things are moving. For all those nothing's happening crowd, it's definitely happening. Investigations take time, and indictments take time, and it takes time. It sucks because I have no patience, but it takes time. Just like they came out and announced the changes for the NGOs reporting their income so that they can cut out the foreign funding. There was an entire hearing in Congress, and even the members of the committee were not in the hearing the whole time. They weren't even in there to talk to the people that were there as, representation of NGOs, where they openly admitted that, yes, you could have Xi Jinping completely 100% funding an NGO in the United States, and it would be legal and no one would know, because he can start an NGO in the United States and he can put Chinese money into it and he can distribute it however he wants to distribute it. I mean, there were a lot of things that came out in that hearing. I watched the whole thing. Like, some of the members would come in and ask a question and then get up out of their chair and leave. They didn't even sit in there. Nobody paid any attention to it.
It's insane. Steve just asked a question. Does Italy have extradition agreement with US? Yes, we do. Extraditions, especially with European countries, though, is a nightmare.
Especially now, I bet.
Yeah, especially right now. I mean, yes, it could happen, but we aren't actually getting along very well with Italy. So I don't know how well it would work. Theoretically, though, yes, we do. Just like we do with France as well, but it's also it's a bureaucratic nightmare. It would take all the things. It's really annoying to do it. Let's go through. I don't know. We don't have a whole lot of questions, so I think we're probably pretty good on the.
Everybody probably fell asleep with all the information. They're like, "This is boring. This is like a lecture at school. I'm out."
It was hopefully it was. I don't think it was boring. I think it was a lot of good information. But I mean, a lot of my followers, and I think a lot of your followers, enjoy the like higher level information. They're the smarter people on X and YouTube and all the platforms. They're not the Candace Owens followers that are looking for a soap opera. That's not what they're doing.
I mean, it is entertaining, not gonna lie. Some of the stuff that these people do is entertaining, but when you're concerned about actually making sure that the Constitution of the United States remains in place and it is not completely dismantled and a completely different constitution put into place. I mean, we didn't even get into the Declaration of Interdependence and the Policy Link Convention. And I mean, there's so much to this, and it's all intertwined. They're all working together. It is very scary, actually. Like, when people always are saying, like this election is so important because, our, the future of our country is on the line, like we're going to lose our country. Every election cycle where people say that, we're truly getting closer and closer and closer to that. And they're on the 2-yard line. Like social credit scores, resources being distributed equitably. Imagine your kids, depending on where they go to school and what state you're in, they probably already have a digital backpack, and they aren't just getting grades for their actual subjects. They're getting grades on their character. And those grades follow them all the way through college. And then when you go to get a job, they're going to look at their social credit score. Are you a team player, or do you respect authority? Those types of things. And then you can be hired or not, or, employable or not, based on scores that you were getting when you were in elementary school or going through puberty and learning how to just be a person and exist in the world. And it can affect you for the rest of your life. You go to get gas at the gas pump, and you have to use your digital currency. You have to use your app at the gas station. And when the pump won't come on, it pops up with a message and says, oh, you can't get gas until the 30th because you've already used, your carbon footprint's too big. You've already used too much fossil fuels this month. So you no driving for you, no soup for you.
But worse than that, I mean, that's happening in China. China has a social credit score already. And there are literally Chinese people just living on the streets because they said the wrong thing or whatever. They posted the wrong thing.
Or you
and
threw
now
trash
they can't.
out.
And they can't buy anything. They can't even pay. They can't rent anywhere. They can't live anywhere because they aren't allowed to. Because they aren't allowed to. They aren't allowed to have a banking. They can't use money because they can't use their social credit either. Like, so that's what it's moving towards. It's insane.
You're catching on. You see all the things the left. Who was debanking people for their political views? Oh yeah, that was the left. So you mean, and again, the UN and China. What kind of a seat does China have at the UN table?
Oh, they have veto.
This is all UN agenda. You can look at the federal plan. You can look at it. If you go to I Am Lisa Logan's Substack and read through her Substack, if you're somebody that likes to research and you like very information heavy articles, go to, it's not I Am Lisa Logan on Substack. Just put in Lisa Logan and search for her. I don't remember what her Substack's called. But if you go to her YouTube, she has several videos she's made. And this is years ago. She's been studying this and researching this for years. She started with the social emotional learning because of some disturbing things that her kids were bringing home from school. And that's where she uncovered all of this and found the root and found the goals. And it's been following. I mean, she's not wrong at all. And her YouTube is called Parents of Patriots. And she has a few videos that are also very information heavy. You might have to watch them a few times or take notes, pause, and think about what you're hearing. She talks about the evolutionary leaders.
All right. So here so Max asked what your account is. So I'm going to share. Hold on, Max. 1 second. Let me share this. Oh, sorry. Share this instead. All right. So this is SK's account right here. Everybody can follow her, please. She puts out great stuff. I also, if you're on YouTube, I put all of the socials in the description on YouTube and Rumble. And then this is Lisa's over here. All right. Yep.
Yeah, Lisa's ex. Oh, there's her Substack. There's so much, and she's getting ready to publish an article on the abundance agenda. Yeah, there you go. YouTube channels, Parents of Patriot. Her ex account is I Am Lisa Logan. She hasn't posted on there since the election. But she has a pinned post at the top of her page, I Am Lisa Logan on X. And you can go through that pinned post because she has tons of threads in the pinned post. So you can just like dig through and read, and you can start kind of tying things, to what I talked about, because it goes back. This goes back to the 80s. This isn't, people are like, that's a conspiracy theory. No, it's not. This is conspiracy fact.
Yep. Here's her ex right here, Lisa Logan's. Cool. Well, SK, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all the work you've been doing and the insights you have, because they're invaluable, really. I mean, I tell you what, like seriously, I feel like I'm knowledgeable about stuff, and then I bring people like you on here, and I'm like, I'm just learning all the things about all this, and there's just so much information that it's insane to me that there's not enough time in the day to even go through it all.
No.
And so,
And it's impossible to present it to people. I mean, we're literally, even Data Republican posting the things that she's posted over time here and there, like once a week or a couple times a week. Sometimes there'll be more than one post pertaining to this. But over the last several months, when she has posted this stuff, it's like little teeny tiny, like grain of rice size parts of this ecosystem. And then if you're not paying attention, it's hard to put those pieces together. But I don't know how to paint this picture for people. And also, just so you're aware, all of this information about the radicalization pipeline and this whole ecosystem and, the involvement of certain people and the goals, this information was all given to Candace like a week after Charlie was killed.
Of course it was.
Yeah, she's known all this. And that's why I would watch every now and then. I've only watched it a couple of times, but I would watch, and it's like she touches the truth. Like she would go down this path, and I'm like, oh, she's getting it. She's going to start talking about the actual problem here. And then it's like immediately as she gets close to the truth, she goes, it's the juice. And just like exits the highway completely. But she knows this. Like she's intentionally leading people. She's had all of this information. And again, I'm not saying that any of these organizations like hired an assassin or like are directly involved. I'm saying Charlie's death is exposing this entire ecosystem, and everyone needs to pay attention because this is what's coming for the United States. And when you hear the left talking about, when they get power, they're going to come after you and me because we've sat on here and we've talked about these things. They declared elections as critical infrastructure so that they can censor our speech surrounding elections. That's the left that's done these things. The left is the one that wants to come after us and jail us for our speech. I will fight for your right to say whatever you want to say on the internet, as long as you're not crossing the Texas v. Johnson line. When your speech becomes a crime, that's where the line is drawn with hate speech. Aside from that, you can say whatever you want, whether I disagree with you or not. You can say whatever you want. I support that. I will fight for your right to do that. But that's not the left. They don't want the freedom and the Constitution. They don't want any of that.
Right. They don't. And obviously they've been very clear about that. I mean, they're literally, we pulled up how many different things where they were talking about censoring social media and, the social credit score, the giving grades on the speech, all the different things. And just the ultimate goal of getting rid of Donald Trump and how that is their number one goal. And that right there should just let everybody know, like, this is what they're after, guys. And this is why the information environment is the way that it is today. And real quick, just to kind of wrap it up before we jump off of here. Again, that's why you don't have to capture these people necessarily as an asset. You don't have to pay them. You don't have to compromise them, or you don't have to coerce them. You don't have to do all these things, and like be like, you're going to push this and you're going to push this. You don't have to have meetings and say, you're going to post this and you're going to post this. They either are enemies abroad or these organizations in the United States. They're just going to push. They're going to either use bots or they're going to use their ecosystems that they have, and they're going to use those to push and aggregate these posts and get them more views and more engagements. And then these people are going to see that and they're going to be like, oh, I make more money if I post this. And so they're just going to want to post this more and more and more. And just like she said, Candace Owens knows the truth. She knew the truth. She saw all the same data that Data Republicans saw. But she chose the path that was going to make her more money and decided to push, the narrative that was more soap opera-y and more conspiracy theory-y so that she could just milk that cow instead. And so that's what you're going to see. And it's important that we call this out and that we stand up and say, like, no, there's actually the truth here. And it's important to talk about this. And so again, SK, thank you so much for coming on here and for spending, what did we do? We did 2 hours. Look at that.
We did 2 hours. Yeah. I didn't know if I was going to make it 2 hours, but we did 2 hours. And I
You
just want
did.
to tell you and your viewers, thank you guys for having me and for being so kind and accepting. I appreciate that. Not to sound like a lefty with being like accepting, not that I would have cared if you didn't, but thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. The more people that hear this information, the better. I don't like the attention. I don't like followers. I don't like any of this stuff, but I do care about the information and I care about this country. And I appreciate the fact that, you care to learn about these things and that you want other people to learn as well. That makes me really happy. And also, I just want to end with everyone needs to pray for discernment, because if you have discernment, the untruths and the manipulation and those types of things jump out at you. You don't even have to pay close attention to the words that people are saying to know whether they're being honest with you or whether they're feeding you propaganda or whether they're just doing something for clicks and views and likes. It doesn't take long when you have discernment to immediately be able to tell when somebody's being honest with you or when you're being told a lie.
You're right. You're so right. Well, awesome. SK, again, thank you so much. And everybody, thank y'all again. Question everything, and Dale Presley Bear.